Sunrise, but no slowdown in Hurricane Matthew's assault on the Sunshine State.
Let's remember the storm has only passed half our state, so this is not over.
The eye expected to move dangerously close to shore as the storm marches northward along Florida's east coast, bringing the heaviest rain at high tide and raising the risk and fears of catastrophic storm surge.
We are very concerned about storm surge, and the worst effects are still likely to come.
Overnight, Hurricane Matthew battered Florida, the massive storm bringing damaging winds and drenching rain, somewhat lessened with the eye remaining well offshore. Still, at times, wind gusts were so strong, first responders had to get themselves to safety. Power lines ripped from their poles across the region, transformers exploding, leaving hundreds of thousands without power. Meantime, many are riding out the storm in shelters, hundreds of pets housed with their owners, still unsure when they'll be able to go home. Hurricane Matthew is forecasted to skirt the coasts of Georgia and South Carolina into the weekend, but meteorologists say offshore doesn't mean any less dangerous.
If you are in an area that has been told to evacuate and your authorities are telling you that you still have time to evacuate, I want to personally plead with you to get out right now.
Millions still at risk as Hurricane Matthew churns in the Atlantic.
And Bob Nunley joins us right now. You were just saying there are now tornado warnings north of Jacksonville as we still track this up the East Coast.
Yeah, the tornado warnings seem to stretch from like the Georgia border right down to just north of Jacksonville. And we haven't seen any tornadoes with this storm as of yet. Right now, Ben Gelber is kind of tracking what's going to be happening with Hurricane Matthew. And Ben, what are you seeing there on radar?
Well, and Bob Manelli, first a reference to the tornado warning. That's right here. A little red box. That is Fernandina Beach. And this is where a water spout started to move inland. That's one area to look at, but what I'm focused on here is how tight the eye has gone. You can see how wide the eye was earlier, but it has tightened up, so the spin is starting to increase, and that means the storm has potential for strengthening. It's running up against the coastline. In fact, the eye of the storm is right on Daytona Beach's eastern side here. In other words, the eye wall where you see the thunderstorms. Now, the interaction with land breaking up a portion of the eye wall, but look at all this rain and wind. This is all about not only the wind, 60 to 80 mile per hour winds with a gust to 107 miles per hour, but we're also seeing a great deal of water that's going to pile up as the storm approaches Jacksonville and St. Augustine later this afternoon. And the track northwest at 13 miles an hour will continue to threaten the Atlantic coast all the way up through Georgia and South Carolina as we go into the weekend. So Bob and Ellie, a massive storm with a great deal of damage potential, much more on that coming up in just a few minutes.